welcome to my latest acquisition. This is a salvage vehicle, a Honda CB1300S. It's been given category N status, which means that it has no major damage but is uneconomical to repair. The handlebars have been damaged and both switch clusters are touching the tank. There is a chip out of the tank, but the tank seems otherwise undamaged. The centre section of the fairing appears to have been pushed across and has damaged all of the connections to the right hand panel. The indicator, almost inevitably, has broken away, and there is a large hole in the left hand fairing panel. The right hand mirror is broken, and the left hand mirror and its mount has been broken away. However, I do still have that mount and the mirror with it, and that mirror is in good condition. The fairing screen was broken. There was a deflector mounted to it, and the deflector mounts have broken. Part of the screen has broken away. The radiator has been crushed against the frame and the exhaust, and the exhaust itself has a dent in it. But worst of all is the cracked engine casing where the starter motor mounts. The starter motor itself, one of the right hand mounts, has broken away. Where the starter motor fits into the engine case has also broken away. Replacement parts have started to arrive. I have a replacement screen, the starter motor gears, the starter motor and alternator casing, and of course a replacement starter motor as well. I've also started to remove the fairing, which comes off in 3 sections: left hand panel, centre section and right hand panel. The left hand panel will have to be stripped down, ready for sending away to be repaired, as will the centre section. The headlight will need to be removed and any clips and brackets, so that this part of the panel can be repaired. I've tried fitting this replacement casing. I've still got to take the alternator out of the old casing before I can completely remove that. And you can see that the top crankcase is actually split. So yeah, it's US. Well, if you I try and centre the handlebars there, and if you look along the centre line of the bike, you can actually see that the clocks are off centre, and this is because that bracket has been pushed over. The top end of the screen, as you see here, all of that has broken away. The only panel left to take off is this right hand panel. Now, to remove this, there was a top screw there holding it at that end, but also it has its own mounting bracket which is held by these 2 bolts here, and unfortunately they've started to round and I can't get them to undo at all. The other reason I need to take that fairing off, apart from repairing it, is also that indicator needs repaired or replaced as well. The indicator has broken the bolt, which you can see the end of there has been bent backwards, and of course it's screwed into the plastic that has sheared off from the inside of this half. So I can't get that to stay on there because of the bent bolt, but also because the plastic that the screw goes into has sheared off. Anyway, that'll need to come apart. I was just looking at the bracket supporting these clocks, and I'm actually wondering if that bracket is bent or whether it's these two plates on the head that have buckled. There's an upper and a lower bolt. They're onto plates bolted onto, welded onto the head steady. Now it may be possible that it's those brackets that are bent. It's hard to really see. Looking back here, you can kind of see how the clocks are off centre to the bike. Right, the tool has become a little slag, so I've put some tin foil in there to try and tighten it in. You can now tap the tool home. Hopefully we can turn it. Dear. Nope, it's just given up. Nope. Oh dear, that's just rounded even worse. So even by trying to take up the slack, I have not managed to make it tight enough to undo these bolts. Well, I don't know if you can see it or not, but that is now rounded, and I don't think we'll be able to use a tool on that at all now. I didn't do the same to the top one, so it'll just end up the same. Typical Honda plasticine bolts. It might be possible to actually unscrew the plastic off of the bracket. Let's go have a look at the other one and see how that plastic is mounted. So looking at the panel I did manage to get off, the bracket is secured by 3 bolts, 2 of which are right at the rear end of the panel. I think they're going to be so close to the tank as not to be able to be accessible. There you go, that end is right tucked up against the tank. There's no way you're going to be able to get in there to get a tool in. No, we're not going to get a tool in there to access them, too close to the tank. Good news, I've managed to remove the right hand side fairing panel. Bad news is I didn't actually film it as I was doing it. However, just give you a quick instruction on what I did. It was being retained by 2 bolts. On the lower bolt I used this Dremel type tool, cheap thing called the Perfect Drill, and cut a slot right the way across. Now you might think that my intention was to use a screwdriver and impact. I don't think the bits on an impact would have reached all the way across. And if I'd have tried it on one side, I think the torque would have just chewed it up. No, what I did do, I have an old extension, which you can see has been battered to hell over the years, and it has been used as a drift. Now, being used as a drift, it's got a slight lip on the edge there, and I use that lip to catch into one of the slots, then pounded it with a hammer. And at first I didn't think it was going to go, but eventually it did start to turn, and once it started to turn it was loose. I could then just use an ordinary flathead screwdriver on the other side to then turn it and get it out. Once I'd got that one out, it was only retained then by this one. Now, although this had started to round, it still had some grip that the Allen key could get hold of, just not enough of a grip to turn it. So what I did was, with the bolt in place, I pinioned the whole thing about that bolt, and with the Allen key in place it allowed the bolt and the fairing to turn. Now I could only turn it a fraction, then again using the Allen key to hold it still, rotate it back, again use the Allen key to help it turn, the two turn together, and within a couple of fractions of a turn it was loose enough then to undo it with the Allen key. Now, even with the Allen key, it does look like it's got thread lock on there, but I think that's just paint. Paint seems to have shown up on anything that goes into the red frame. I think they made a pretty poor job of painting it, to be honest. But anyway, there you go. Once those two bolts were off, the whole thing was free, and I can now disassemble it. Taking into account this has been in an accident, and allowing for the fact that I don't think this has been removed since it was fitted at the factory. At the factory they used a power tool to put these in very quickly. They wouldn't have been done to a specifically high torque, but because it's going into plastic, these screws would have cut their own thread. So therefore I think that these are going to be quite stiff to come out. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we've got 6 screws to remove. I don't know what that is. That is for the indicator, and it goes through 2 hooks there, but I don't know what that is. Possibly that's a temperature sensor. I'm hoping that it's mounted to the inside of this so that I don't need to detach that. Yes, okay, let's go for it. That seems to be stuck. I do wonder if the thing that's holding it is the indicator wire, because of course the indicator, the wire goes through here and then will go out to the outer shell through it to go to the indicator. I wonder if I'm trying to pull against that wire. As if something's holding it in the middle here. Perhaps if I have a look inside the unit. No, I can't see anything there that's holding it. I've got a screw on the bottom here holding it to the box, and that box is still held onto the outer panel. I'll go remove this first. That's better. That's the only thing holding it now, is that cable. There we go. Right way through. That's that panel free. No obvious signs of any damage or distortion. I think that's intended. I think that's by manufacture. Okay, and I need the stubby screwdriver because the handle I can't get square on because of this edge, and going into an angle, I'm not really getting a good grip on the screw, so I'll get a stubby screwdriver and I'll get a big shifter, adjustable spanner, monkey wrench, and you'll see. Right, we've got our stubby screwdriver, we've got our big shifter. Stubby screwdriver will go in, but I now haven't got enough room to try and grip it and turn it. So what I will do is use the big shifter and use the handle of the screwdriver as if it was a nut. This is not going to be the easiest of things to do, but let's see if I can do it. Right, the other thing I think I need to do is turn it around so I can push it against me. There we go. And once you hear that crack and you've got it free, it should be easy enough just to unscrew. It just feels like it's hasn't been moved since the factory. Why is that resisting? I'll show you why that was resisting in a moment. What Honda in their wisdom have done is they put a little angled edge there, a sort of tooth which goes through that hole there and grips onto it, so it won't pull straight out, but it'll be easy enough to put back in. I think it's filthy dirty, it could do with cleaning. Right, that's the box. The box we don't need. Last thing to come off, oh no, I beg your pardon, we've still got the indicator to come off, and we've got this bracket to come off. As I remember, this bracket's quite hard to come off. These screws are in quite tight. Ah, yes they are, yes they are. I don't want to damage the fairing any worse than it's already damaged. Go, one. Two, that didn't crack. Three. Slotted in at both ends, so you've got to pull it out one way and try and lift it up gently to pull it out the other. Now you can see there's a bit of rust on here. That will take too much cleaning up and tidying up. But I'm also worried about, and I don't know if you can see it, but it does look as if to me that is bent. Now I don't know if it's supposed to be straight or not, but I suspect it should be. I'll compare it against the other one and see what that's like. Nothing a hammer can't solve. Right, 10mm. Nut, reinforcement plate. Reinforcement plate has a built-in dowel. And that's it.